What is a movie? A movie is basically a short name for a moving image, or in general speaking, a motion picture. Throughout the course of time, movies have completely transformed from photographic experiments to a storytelling medium. It all started at a horse race in California during the late 1800s. The governor of the state, Leland Stanford, was questioning the fact if horses lifted all their hooves when they gallop. To prove the question true or false, Stanford hired a photographer by the name of Edward Muybridge to take pictures of a horse in motion. Muybridge placed 12 cameras alongside a racetrack, each with a tripwire to capture each individual image. After a racing horse zoomed by, triggering the wires with its hooves, each individual camera went off, capturing almost every single movement, showing whether or not horses lifted their hooves off the ground when racing. This new discovery of moving images became revolutionary, inspiring people around the world, including people like Thomas Edison, to experiment with their own moving pictures. French scientist Etienne Jules Marey developed a chronophotographic gun, which was a small rifle with a roll of film in it that he'd fire to capture birds in flight and athletes in action. It allowed him to capture a large amount of photographs and be studied over. Thomas Edison, a popular American businessman, took this approach and applied it to one of his own inventions. He hired a less-known inventor by the name of William K. L. Dickson to construct an operating mechanic that would capture and animate single images into moving pictures. Dickson later developed what would be known as the first motion picture camera, the kinetograph. The kinetograph was able to capture more footage than what the chronophotographic gun was capable of, because what Dickson applied to the new invention was a longer film strip. This led to Edison's next invention, a coin-operated box that would play the filmed footage and be seen through a small peephole called the kinetoscope. People would line up to take their first glances at these moving pictures, and this was before motion pictures were projected on screens. While this was happening, two businessmen from France, the Lumiere brothers, saw what the kinetograph can do and decided to take the process a step further. The Lumiere brothers set out to experiment with this new technology and solve some problems that both the kinetograph and the kinetoscope had. For instance, the kinetograph was very heavy and could not be carried around all the time, and only one person at a time could view a moving image on a kinetoscope. What the Lumiere brothers did with their new camera, called the cinematograph, was that they made it small enough to be carried around, and it was powered by a hand crank, and it could be projected onto walls for everyone to see. With this special camera, the two men filmed and projected all sorts of things for viewers to see, like factory employees leaving for home, and a steam locomotive rolling into a station. Georges Méliès, a popular French illusionist, was one of those spectators who were inspired by what the Lumiere brothers could offer. He first saw their footage of a train pulling into a station. It looked as though the train was coming towards the audience. This had Méliès interested because it was like magic all on its own, fooling the audience with a moving image.
I fell in love with their invention. How could I not be part of it? It was like a new kind of magic.
As he practiced the art with his own camera, he later found out that if he stopped the camera and played it again, he would have a cut between two footages, making it look as though people are transforming into new people, and vehicles transforming into new vehicles. This began new magic that he'd experiment with, a unique kind of magic called special effects. With this, he found new ways to make people disappear, change size, and of course he did develop new tricks for viewers to witness, like the process to make more of himself, creating doubles. The way he created doubles was through split screens, an old editing trick that would stitch more than one footage together and is still in use today. Méliès simply covered one half of the camera lens with a black mat whenever he filmed himself, and then he moved the mat to cover the other half to film himself again on the other side. When he blended the two shots together, it looked as though they were two of the same person in one shot. This filming technique has improved over the years. Some characters or props would be shaded in black to have some form of exposure, and later on there would be different, or the same, characters or props to fill in those blank spots. Apart from magic tricks and special effects, Méliès also allowed his influence from theater to take shape on his movies, therefore adding narrative storytelling to the work, making it feel as though theater is presented on a stage for the audience to witness. His later films, like A Trip to the Moon, blended the theatrical elements and his special effects to create what is now defined as motion pictures. Méliès's work paved the way for all the new possibilities for what movies can provide. Movies today are now a storytelling medium that fools the eye with the illusion of motion and provides different perspectives on life. Because of these simple things, movies are now a cultural influence and will always be that way for the longest time.